Hey folks, welcome to the Coffee with Paul show, only on Right News America. This is the special late night Red Bull edition. I'm your host Paul Laramie, joining you by phone as I could not make it into the studio tonight. We're going to talk about Afghanistan. How bad is it? We're going to talk about the school board. It seems to be going on in all areas in America, folks. We're going to talk about masks and vaccination mandates. So Joey Gilbert, the candidate for governor in Nevada, was his crowd as big as Joey says? Or is the mainstream media correct that he had a handful of folks here and there? We'll talk about that as well. And the Taliban cuts off the internet in the area of the resistance. I'm Paul Laramie, and this is Coffee with Paul. The show starts now. All right, folks, so we're going to talk about the colossal failure of our president, our U.S. President, Joseph Biden. All right, so yes, Donald Trump absolutely had planned to get out of Afghanistan. People keep arguing that point with me. Absolutely, he did. But there is a way to do things, folks, and a way not to do things. Okay? There's a way to renegotiate a deal when things aren't going as planned, when things need to be changed. And Donald Trump knew how to do that. Joseph Biden either doesn't want to do that, doesn't know how to do that. There's a few things that might be going on here, as we all know. The president may be incompetent. The president may be committing treason. I hate to use the T word, folks, but what do you call it when a U.S. president gives the enemy Black Hawk helicopters, Humvees, tanks, artillery, all kinds of weaponry? When you leave and pull out of a military area, you take your stuff with you and you destroy what you can't take. You don't leave it to the enemy, folks. You don't empower the enemy to become stronger. That brings us into another story that we were talking about. The Taliban has cut off the internet for the stronghold of the resistance. They're putting their hands around the neck of their own country and they're squeezing, folks. The Taliban is going to kill their own country, and Joseph Biden gave them what they needed to do it. And mark my words, an attack will come from Afghanistan to us with our own equipment, with stuff that we left behind. We will have to deal with repercussions of our president's decision based on what happened in Afghanistan. But let's talk about the Marines that were killed at the airport. Let's talk about how the airport is being attacked. Let's talk about how every American has not been evacuated from Afghanistan. How private companies are charging folks $6,500 to get them out of Afghanistan. A lot of people are giving those folks a lot of hate because they're charging $6,500 to get people out, but they don't own the planes. They have to pay to charter the planes. They have to provide security to the airport. I think $6,500 is a fair price. That being said, people should absolutely not have to pay to get out of the country and get home to their own country. Americans should absolutely be taken care of and be flown out of Afghanistan by our government. By our government, folks. They shouldn't have to resort to being flown out by private entities and people that are, well, obviously not volunteering if they're getting paid. But I'm telling you guys, $6,500 is not a lot to go over there and help people, guarantee their safety to the airport, get them on a charter and out of the country. That's a deal. That being said, I've said it 3 times already. They should not be responsible. The government should be paying for that. All right, so I can't talk about Afghanistan anymore. And as you noticed, I didn't touch on the Marines who gave their lives for this country. And I'm very angry about that. I'm upset about that, and I'm sad about that. And I really can't get too much into that on this show. All I can say is please pray for their families. And we hold you in our hearts. I mean, it's a hard subject. I mean, these folks absolutely did not have to die. They were put in harm's way, and it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable what this administration has done. and I demand the resignation of this administration. I mean, what is my demand? Nothing, but as an American citizen, I cannot live with the fact that this administration put American lives in danger, and they don't care. They don't care. All right, well, we also have to talk about the school boards. So let's start talking about that. The racism policy that they quote unquote call it the anti-racism policy, which teaches people that Caucasian or white people are naturally racist, even if they don't intend to be. Deep down, they're racist, and they want to teach this in schools all across the country, and parents are up in arms all across the country. They're having scenes at school boards where parents are getting thrown out. They're also going to the school boards about another matter as well, and that's the masks. That brings us into the mask and vaccine mandate. But the school board, folks, I want you to know that it's not just your local school board. We've been receiving reports of it happening at schools across the country. They're forcing this racism policy as well as this mask mandate that parents are sick of, and they're fighting with the school boards, and they're going to the meetings, and it's getting pretty heated. So there's that. So I ran across a couple stories from the mainstream media about the Joey Gilbert camp. Now, those of you that don't know, Joey Gilbert is a candidate for governor here in Nevada. He was in Las Vegas over the weekend. Now, the mainstream media said that he was lucky if he had a few hundred people. There is video evidence of the rally. It does look like he had thousands of people there. We haven't counted the people at the rally. We were in presence at both the masquerade ball and the opening of Mr. Gilbert's office. The Joey Gilbert camp did have thousands of people following him around, cheering for him, and they seem to be in support of the candidate for governor. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Brings us back kind of to the school boards. They're thinking about mandating. Of course, they're going to start with the teachers and staff and any employees of the school. They're going to have to go ahead and get the vaccine first. But eventually it's going to creep down, and they're going to require it of the kids as well. And if parents are not comfortable with a mandate forcing their children to wear masks, how will they be comfortable with a mandate coming down forcing their children to be vaccinated with a vaccine that they're obviously not comfortable with? We'll have to see how that plays out as well, folks. Remember to keep those Marines in your prayers, their families, those that served with them, their friends. I mean, I'm shattered to my core, folks. Imagine how their families feel. Imagine how you would feel if your family member lost their life and paid the ultimate price for nothing because of the incompetence and negligence of our leadership. It's tragic. It's really tragic, folks. That's all the time that I have today. No, I'm going to go ahead and read the disclaimer because I don't know if they played it in the beginning of the show. And on Coffee with Paul, we all know we need the disclaimer. So here it is. The opinions and beliefs expressed on this show are that of the show host, Paul Laramie, and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Right News America, the station you are watching this show on, or wherever we may broadcast. This is a Right News America production, rightnewsamerica.com. I'm Paul Laramie, and thanks for tuning in to Coffee with Paul, the special late night Red Bull edition. You can reach us at Newsroom at rightnewsamerica.com. That's Newsroom at rightnewsamerica.com. Right News America, the truth.